Hello gamers, you're watching another Feed the Beast tutorial here on NerdLife. As you can see today we have something different planned, we have something outdoors planned. So, let's get right into it. What we're doing today is we're going to be redoing the tutorial I did on the automatic rubber tree farm. And the only reason is I wanted to put it into the new format, and I know it got a lot of hits, which means that you guys want to know how to do it, obviously. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through it on the new tutorial series, where I hope that it will be even more clear how to accomplish the goal of setting up an automatic rubber tree farm in Feed the Beast. So let's get into it. The first thing you're going to want is obviously a power source, and that is up to you. Obviously, these items that we're going to be placing are going to be running on engines rather than the standard industrial craft. They're going to be running on buildcraft power. So you're going to need an engine. Now you can run it on any type of engine. You can go with like a biofuel engine. You can go with a combustion engine. I myself prefer to go with electrical engines, and I'll tell you that why after I place them. So I'm going to place this here. I'm going to place this here. I'm going to place this here. And as you can see, this thing is twisted the wrong direction. We want it feeding into these placeholder blocks because that's where our machines are going to go. So you're going to want a buildcraft wrench, which is made with iron ingots and stone gear in the middle. Once you have your wrench, you can then right click on it and it will rotate it the direction that you want it to go. Now obviously it's only going to rotate in a direction that has a viable source to provide energy, so it won't rotate the right direction until you have an actual machine here. Now the red blocks indicate certain things. These red blocks indicate the placeholder where I want to put the core machines of this setup, which is there are 3 of. Now these place blocks indicate just how large the area is that this thing is going to place a farm. So let's go over the size. The Arboretum machine creates a 13 by 13 block farm. One thing to note is that the farm ring around the Arboretum machine is actually 2 blocks thick, meaning from that 13 by 13 block edge, count in an additional block and you'll know how thick the farm is, so you know where to plan both the area that you're going to be filling up as well as how big the inside area you have to place the machines and chests and pipes you're going to be using. Now that you have both the statistics and the dimensions and a visual aid on just how big this is going to be, so you can know how big of an area to plan this thing out, you can now start planning where you're going to place your machines and so forth. Once you have your power source, which I'm going to actually just use a solar panel hooked up to each machine. Now obviously if you're using electrical engines, you also have any option you want that provides power, really. I'm going with the solar panel because solar panel is easy. Okay, now let's pick these out and replace them with the machines that we're going to be using. The first machine is called a logger. What the logger does is it will cut down any tree in the vicinity, and it will cover, assuming you put it within 2 or so blocks of your arboretum, which is this machine. It will cut down the trees that the arboretum plants. The arboretum is what's responsible for setting up the entire farm. And as you can see, when you open the UI for the arboretum, you can have several different places to put things. The first one is called your humus area. Now this is just basically fertilized dirt you can use, and in order to make humus you just need some apatite and some dirt and some sand, I think. In order to make humus, all you really need is dirt and then your choice of different items. For instance, mulch or fertilizer or compost. And I prefer fertilizer myself because all you need is sand and apatite, and you should have plenty of apatite because it's fairly easy to find in mine. So once you have your humus, you can fill this area up with it, and then this area is for your tree that you want to plant. And in this case, we're planting rubber trees. Now you can put any sort of sapling in here that you want. whatever tree you want to grow. But for us, we're going to want to put rubber tree saplings in here. So let's put 4 rubber tree sapling stacks in there. Now in this one it looks like sand, and that's because it is sand. What happens is, once you start up your machine, it's going to put the humus down, then it's going to plant the tree on it, then the tree is going to grow, then the logger is going to cut the tree down. Then it's usually going to use up the humus block that it grew on, and it's going to turn to sand, which will then be sucked up by the arboretum and replaced with healthy humus. Once you have these 2 machines down, then this is optional, but I prefer to do it. You're going to have a 3rd machine here in the middle, and this is a Treetap. It's just called a Treetap. They probably should have named it an electric, some sort of different Treetap, because it's named this exact same as your standard wooden handheld Treetap, but it's a Treetap. And what this is going to do is, every time a tree is planted, it's going to look for a sticky resin spot, and it's going to suck it out, hopefully before the logger cuts it down. And it's going to put the sticky resin into the logger. The problem with the logger is that it doesn't have a UI. As you can see, I'm trying to click on it, and all it's doing is placing stuff next to it. You're just going to have to assume that there's stuff in there and that it's carrying it all over. Now, the next thing you're going to do, obviously, is fix your engine there so that it hooks up to all of these machines correctly. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and place a little block above it. Obviously, you can do this however you want. I like to be a little bit organized. So what I have here is I'm going to put these levers on these wooden blocks. And that way I have a lever that's easily reachable to power each engine. Now, you can make it so that one powers both of them, or all 3 engines, with some redstone, but we're not going to bother with that today. If you turn it on now, each machine should turn on, and as you can see, it's popping up these inverted lamps. And the reason it's doing that is because the Arboretum will clear the area that it's going to need before it starts doing anything. It's going to clear probably one side and then the other. There we go. There's that block. It's checking slowly in rows. So it goes down 1 row. It does it exactly how it places it, which is 1 row at a time. So it should start placing humus in this corner and going down. Then it'll come back and go another row and another row and another row. And then even before it's finished placing humus, it will start planting little saplings as soon as it can and working. And it shouldn't take very long, as long as you have adequate power running into your engine, and then you're good. Now, before it starts getting any sort of stuff, any sort of yield, any sort of saplings back or wood or anything, you're going to want to have a place for it to go, and you're going to want to have a means for it to get there. So let's put these 2 chests down, and let's start putting pipes. Now, these are just standard pipes that we can put on. Now, we're going to have 2 outputs for each machine here, and I'll tell you why. The first output, you want to go from the logger to the Arboretum. From the top to the top. Make sure you do that. From the top to the top. These pipes are coming out of the side of each, and these are going into the chests. Now what happens is the Arboretum will feed any saplings that come out up and into the Arboretum. All the saplings and wood go into this. Keep that in mind. And the only way to get saplings out is to suck it from the top and put it into this. Now, because we have it in the top, it feeds in to the top. That's how you get things into it. You put things in through the top and out through the side. Now what's going to happen over here is, now that we have a pipe on the side, anything being piped out will be the wood and the resin that the Treetap is sucking and putting into it. On this, any sand that goes into this from the used up humus will be placed into this chest. Now the reason we want to do that is because it's easier than having to check this little thing and making sure that your stacks aren't getting too out of hand of sand. You can also hook this up to like a furnace so it automatically cooks the sand into glass, or make it into an automatic crafting table that makes humus with the sand or fertilizer with the sand. fertilizer, because you use sand and apatite and you can make fertilizer. Whatever you want to do, you can automate it however much you actually want. And as you can see, this thing has already filled this whole place up with humus and trees. Now all we have to do is wait for one to grow, and then we can see in process of this logger cutting the tree down, placing the logs and any saplings that it gets into the respective areas, meaning it'll place the logs and resin in here, and then it should pump the saplings from one to the other, and then it'll refill this. Now, in order to get this much, let's take a look. It used an entire stack and a little bit over a stack to do one full ring of this humus. So keep that in mind. You're going to want about 2 stacks of humus just to get this started. And then you're going to have to consistently make more to keep it going. The saplings should hopefully be self-sufficient as it picks up more saplings. But as you know, sapling is a random thing. You have a percentage chance of getting a sapling when you destroy a tree block. Well, it's the same thing here. When the tree block despawns, obviously you get a chance, but you're hoping that you have enough tree saplings dropping that it will refurnish this with new tree saplings. There we go. Okay, we've got our first tree here. Let's see what happens. If we're doing this right, it'll start cutting this bastard down. There we go. And as you can see, the sand is here now because it grew a tree, basically. And now it's cut this out. Let's see if it's going to go in here. We got 6 wood. So the tree has been cut down and adequately pumped into this. Now there we go. See, we got a tree going from this machine. Oh, wait. That's not right. Okay. So now, as you can see, something's wrong. Something is going wrong here. So what's happening is it's pulling the tree resin out of there because the logger isn't exactly optimized to recognize this. What's happening there is that it's popping that resin out, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is now we're going to accomplish 2 goals. We're going to keep the trees going in the right direction, and we're also going to fix that problem right now. Not even going to joke around. We're just going to fix it. Okay, so we got blue and black with this diamond pipe, and as you may or may not know, diamond pipes are basically sorters. What's going to happen is you're going to right click on the diamond pipe and you're going to be able to tell it what items you want to go down what color. Now we're going to have to put another section of pipes here, like so, leading over to whatever chest you want the resin to go to. And then we look at see the color. The color for the new pipe is green, and we want resin to go down green. So let's click on it, find some resin here, pop it in there, and now every time it sees resin, it will go down that pipe. What we want to do now to make sure that this thing is optimized is we want to look at the blue and make sure that we have a tree sapling in there. So now, whenever a tree sapling runs through the diamond pipe, it's going to go straight to this arboretum and refill the saplings. Whenever resin goes through the green up through this pipe, it's going to hit the green and it's going to go into our yield chest. So all the wood and all the resin is going to be in this chest. Voila, problem solved. Now there are different ways you could be using different types of pipes. You could have a little bit of a different setup, but the point is you want to have everything condensed so that you're not destroying your own stuff. Like if this chest was over 2 more blocks, then it would pick up that chest and break it. Also, if the machines weren't close enough to the arboretum, which is the center point of this whole farm, then possibly the logger wouldn't log all the logs because it's not close enough. But the radius for these 2 machines are pretty big, so you should be pretty safe. And as you can see, this machine is working perfectly. There are different setups. You can put the chest wherever you want. You can put the pipes going wherever you want. The whole point is you want to keep this general area clear of anything, because that's where your trees are going to go, and your arboretum is going to destroy any foreign blocks that aren't humus, saplings, or trees. So hopefully you guys learned how to make an automatic rubber tree farm, and obviously this really works for any sort of tree farm you want to use. The logger is universal, the arboretum is universal. The only thing you wouldn't really need is a tree tap if you wanted to grow regular wood, for instance, so you have a unlimited supply of wood to make wood planks out of, or whatever the case is. So this system is a foolproof system. It looks a little bit weird. It's a little bit complex, and maybe you could simplify it a little bit, but it works, and that's what matters. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something. I've been Esh on Nerd Life. Play on.